because we had to reschedule and then reschedule and then reschedule and go through people's dates.
Some of the cast and crew were contracted onto other jobs and we would have had to replace them, which would have just delayed the film yet again and really damaged it because we had such a good cast and crew assembled. We actually only had 18 days to shoot the film.
Shooting 5 to 7 pages per day, and they were like heavy emotional scenes, a lot of SFX makeup, children and pets, stunt coordinating. So many things could go wrong or could delay us.
Every day we would have a major scene to shoot minimum, and sometimes 3 major scenes.
It was very demanding. Physically there was a lot to do. They were long days and they were intense days, and I'm like crying for like 80% of it.
She's loved by her daughter Natalie, her son William, and her favourite person in the world, her granddaughter Rose.
What it meant is we had to shoot big scenes early on. Ideally, you want to start with some smaller scenes to ease into things, but on day 2, we had to shoot Rose and Nat in bed after Indy's died, and they're talking about loss and the death of the dog.
Well, just because somebody leaves us, it doesn't mean they don't love us.
This is a big scene for Tasha to be filming, and we'd stripped the crew back. I think there was only 6 of us in the room and try to create as intimate a space as possible. We're going through doing takes and she was getting emotional, but not as much as I needed. And I was trying, every trick as a director. And I realized at a point that she was self-conscious, being around these adults and crying. The really big concern was the next day we were shooting the final climax scene.
By the end sequences of the film, it's high energy, it's deeply emotional, it's out of control.
And if she can't get to that point, like we're done. The film's sunk at this stage because we're just not going to have the emotional climax. I was lying in bed awake, racking my brain on what we could do. We come to shoot the climax scene and there's a real tension. Is this going to work? We sent Tasha off to a room with her mum just to have 20 minutes of quiet time. I said to Kestie, just lock eyes with Tasha and really engage with her. Don't worry about the camera or anything like that. We're just going to roll, but you're going to get as much time as you need to get into that scene. And my hope was that emotion, they would just bounce off each other. We set them up on the ground. We started rolling camera and I just sort of said, when you're ready, girls, go for it. Kestie started crying and just looked at Tash, and Tash just exploded.
And we're out on the street and there was just big loud car at like 11 o'clock at night, waking up all the neighbours. There's actors screaming, there's children crying, there's 2 cameras, and there was just so much going on.
Action!
Get out of here! It was very memorable and very fun.
When I was offset, I actually couldn't stop, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't stop crying. So it was actually pretty fun, but it was really upsetting.
I was so proud of Tash. She did such an incredible job, and at that point I saw what Tash and Kestie could create together, and that we really had a good chance at making this film work.
You remember what I told you, okay? Just because somebody leaves, it doesn't mean they don't love you. Okay? You remember that.
Okay.
Every day.
Okay.
Every day.
Don't leave me.
What a little firecracker. I mean, she was wonderful to work with. Kept me on my toes in the scene. You know, I never knew what she was going to do. Everything always felt spontaneous with her, and you don't get that from a lot of, you know, adult actors. Like, it was always felt fresh. It always felt connected. You always felt like she was having fun with what she was doing, that she really enjoyed acting. We would buy each other little gifts during the shoot, and one of the things she bought me was a stress ball because she thought I might need it. And she's so funny, and I just remember her just walking past me one day just going, your stress ball's over there.
Loved how I got to go underwater. It was really fun because I like swimming a lot.
We met at her house to practice how that bath scene would work.
1, 2, 3.
That was ages.
That was really good.
Good work. Really good. Beautiful. Great work, everyone.